Hey, what's up? I'm John Humphrey with the band Seether, and you're watching Metal Wani.
Greetings from Metal Wani. My name is Carlo Rourke and I'm delighted to be here in London's Electric Ballroom with John Humphreys of Seether, who will be performing to a sold-out crowd here later this evening. Welcome and congratulations, my friend.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
Delighted. So you guys released your latest studio album, Isolate and Medicate, last year in July 2014, and you've been just touring since, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys are known for your relentless tour schedules, doing no less than around 200 shows in a year.
Yeah, for 18 months on a given album cycle, yeah.
So I was just wondering, how has the tour been this time around? Do you find it difficult to keep up such a pace after all these years? And do you see yourselves more as a touring band or a studio band?
We're definitely a touring band. That one's easy to answer, you know. This last album, Isolate and Medicate, that you mentioned, was like one of the quickest ones we recorded since maybe like the first album or something. We did it like top to bottom in like 15 days, everything. And we had done pre-production a couple of weeks prior, but we went in and knocked it out real quick. So we like creating in the studio. New music is always fun, but we knock it out quickly and then we hit the road. And I think we did something like 50 or 55 shows even before the album came out in July, meaning we started like last March or April prior to the album's release. So yeah, we tour a lot, you know. I've been with the band now 12 years and this is pretty much par for the course, you know. Anytime an album is out, we're out anywhere from 18 months to almost 2 years on a tour cycle. So we try to put breaks in there. I think it's important to do that, to keep our sanity. This week, or this run that we're in, which is about to end, will be all together like 11 weeks. Started with Australia, we did a 4-week run in the States, 4-week here in Europe and UK, and we'll actually do some USO shows in Kuwait coming up. So I mean, altogether it'll be 11 weeks. So we go home on the 5th, I think, for just like 2 or 3 weeks, and then another US run in October. So we definitely are a touring band.
Perfect. And I noticed that your touring, it's definitely divided up between like headline slots, co-headline slots, headlining festivals and being part of the festival bills.
Yeah. And
I was just wondering, as a band, do you prefer this type of diversity in touring as opposed to just a headline tour from start to finish? And do you find the diversity a helpful asset in terms of, you know, reaching out to wider audiences?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's smart. I mean, when you get to open for bands like Three Doors Down or in the past Nickelback, I mean, it's an opportunity to win some new fans, and then you do another tour, and then somebody comes up to you and like, man, I hadn't heard of you guys, and I caught the Nickelback show. You guys were awesome. I'm a fan, man. I bought all the CDs or whatever. I mean, that's important. So yeah, I think we embrace opening for another band. We'd have no problem with that. Headlining shows are fun because you get to play an hour and a half. You get to play a lot of songs, maybe not just the singles. You get to play some of the deeper cuts for the hardcore fans.
Of course.
And then last night, for example, we were in Brighton, a little club, hometown for Lieutenant, the band that's opening for us on this tour. And it was a small little stage, and it was awesome, man. We were louder than shit. And, and it was awesome. It just felt great. You didn't really need to rely on monitors, man. You're just like up there, like you were starting out, and then the crowd's just right up there on the edge of the stage.
Right in your face,
and then we're getting ready to do Reading and Leeds, which are these massive festivals this weekend. So, completely different, running the gamut there, top and bottom, and they're great, man. We embrace all of it.
Perfect. And if I'm not mistaken, the album is your second with obviously legendary producer Brendan O'Brien, who you guys directed a huge portion of credit to. Because to quote you, it said that he allows you guys to be yourselves when writing and acts as a mediator between the band and the label during the writing process.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, did Brendan open the door to almost like a new face of Seether, and how does the process differ with Brendan as opposed to producers who may have worked with in the past?
I mean, producer, that title's kind of thrown around loosely. I would say Brendan really is truly a producer, and that, if you've checked his credentials, he's worked with artists like Bruce Springsteen or Stone Temple Pilots, and neither one of those artists sound the same. A lot of producers have their tricks. They work in a certain studio, they use certain amps, they have certain sounds, and therefore all their artists, you can tell who the producer is. He's just genius at really letting the band be the band, getting the best sounds. He also is an engineer. He's also instrumentalist. He's also a musician. He can sit down at a piano and talk about changes and like move this. We worked with producers before, that thing you're doing there, it's not cool. Just do something else. Well, what does that mean? Whereas Brandon can walk over to a piano, he can pick up a guitar. Hell, in my case, he can sit down at a drum set and show you what he's talking about. He really is, you know, a talented guy, definitely a producer. I think Holding on to Strings was the first one, and then Isolate Medicate, this latest one. I think we learned a lot from the first album working with him. I think, again, that's why this album went so quickly when we recorded it, because we had worked with him and we just kept kind of testing each other like, what would Brendan do here? And what do you think Brendan's going to think about this? And I think, therefore, we had learned a lot, and that this album went quicker because, you know, working with Brendan.
And you guys consider him a fourth member of the band as well?
Absolutely.
Times,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. You have to, you know, have that trust, and with him, he's got it implicitly with us. You know?
Perfect. And if I'm not mistaken, with the album, you also signed to the new label partners, the Bicycle Music Company and Concord Music Group.
Yeah.
And you said that they were strongly supportive and enthusiastic. I was wondering, could you talk a little bit about the tension that often exists between bands and labels? And do you feel that when a label supports you to go in your own direction and follow your own sense of vision, as opposed to, you know, seeking out the singles, what's the difference?
Yeah, you know, it's no secret that the last few years with Wind Up, who we were initially signed to, was a bit of a struggle. And I think it's just because they themselves administratively had internal struggles that just sort of affected not only us, but all their artists, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, business is business, and it is the music business. And we unfortunately found out, like everybody else, that we had been sold to Concord Bicycle, who we didn't know at the time, along with a roster of artists that were, you know, sold by Wind Up, including us, Creed, Evanescence. And so we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know, does this mean our career's over, or they're just going to like re-release old catalog stuff, you know? Out of the bands that I just mentioned, we're the only band that's like still making new music.
I didn't want to say, but
yeah. And so we're like, you know, what's going on? But as it turned out, it was great for us.
Yeah.
They were a great label. They're very supportive. They've supported us over here and in the States. So lucky for us, it was a good move. And they very much let us, again, be ourselves. I think they knew that we weren't a baby band, that we had been around for 10 years plus, and I think they trusted us. We had already had a relationship with Brendan, and what can you say about Brendan O'Brien? He's awesome. Like you meant, you know, he's a legend. So they had no problem coming into it. They just said, look, you guys already have it set up to start your album with Brendan. Just go ahead, do your thing, man. We're cool.
Yeah.
They came in and listened to it. I think it was the only time we ever had an A&R staff stand up and applaud after listening to an album. I mean, it was surreal, you know?
Yeah.
Usually you're used to a bunch of critique, you know? Well, that's okay, but that one should be the single. I'm not sure about that one and this and that. And I don't know if that fits the album. And they were great, you know?
Cool.
Let's do our thing.
And speaking of singles, Isolate Medicate is just over a year old and still reading new fans in every week if you go look at any sort of social media that's on. Most recently, the latest single, Nobody Praying For Me, was released with an accompanying video set out to inform and encourage people to make their own opinions, and in this case it was to do with the police and discrimination surrounding certain events.
Sure.
I was just wondering, that do you feel the song and the video was successful in doing so, or do you feel that maybe, you know, people were looking at the message and not the music, or, you know, just paying attention to the music and not the message, or in your opinion are they one and the same maybe?
Yeah, I think maybe it's still too early to tell, but I think, you know, based on some of the comments, some, you know, I don't know if they completely get it.
Yeah.
You know, we were just trying to open dialogue, make something interesting. I think it's more interesting than watching a band just rock, you know.
Yeah,
I mean that's cool too. It has its place. But this was our third video for the album. Same Damn Life, we had a lot of fun with. You know, the humor, which is always kind of like part of our thing too. But this was just sort of like to help create dialogue. You know, it's a lot of stuff like this going on in the States where, you know, press is very leaning towards one way or another, and people only get their information from one source, and they base their entire opinion on this one, you know, facet of information instead of looking at the overall picture. And I think it was just kind of about creating dialogue. In some cases that could, you know, people could take that way out of context, or some, you know, just kind of understand it, you know what I mean? Yeah,
that's fair enough. So you guys are known, as you said earlier on, for picking your support bands, or like to have a say in who goes out on tour with you.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, do you guys like to be included in the say for who supports you because it's bands you admire, or, you know, there's people you do and don't like going on tour with, or are you just looking to put together a great package to take on the road to the fans?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. You know, we're very much, you know, involved with what bands we're being billed with, and, you know, we played shows with Lieutenant before. We knew they were a great rocking band. Stylistically, I think they fit with us really well, and And so, you know, yeah, we definitely had a hand in picking those bands, you know. There's occasions where maybe last minute promoter will throw on a very opening band maybe we're not aware of. But by and large, a package, if it's touring, more than one show with us, we had a hand in putting together those bills. Yeah, definitely.
Perfectly. So finally, you guys have had albums that have gone platinum, singles that have gone #1, nominations and awards for music and performances, and most importantly, an ever-growing fan base that adores Seether for what you are. And it's hard to imagine, but it's always exciting to see what is next for the band. Are there new ideas brewing? Is there maybe a new album on the way? Is there anything you can tell us?
I think, yeah, work will begin probably next year. It's really tough for us anyway. Some artists can do it, but it's kind of tough when you're completely in tour mode. You know, you're working, you're doing shows, you're doing press, you know, days off are a precious commodity, man. You just kind of want to get away from everybody and just kind of rest or maybe take in the sights or whatever, kind of chill. So Sean has kicked around ideas. I know he's always like, even with his phone, recording like riffs maybe he'll come up with either during the show or maybe sound check or what have you. But we really won't get to work on like getting in a room and working on stuff, and probably until we're off tour, which would be, you know, early next year.
Perfect. So thank you, John, for taking the time to talk with us at Metal Wani. It's greatly appreciated. Congratulations on the album, and we sincerely hope you have great success with the rest of the tour, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.